Good morning. I am doing a reading this week. I am kind of letting go of the forecasts because I'm just not finding people really are all that interested. And I think what I'm trying to bring you is something kind of really brand new in terms of thinking, and I'm not really doing it in a horoscope kind of way. So I'm just going to kind of shift my focus enough to have what I do make sense to the masses. Okay, and today I am bringing you a conversation and a little bit of education on eclipses, which are very poorly understood. We, as astrologers, are not well educated in any way to speak on eclipses, which is to me kind of tragic because what is an eclipse? Well, it's your north and south node, who you were an expert and injured at in the past life and who you're striving to become in this life, and that it is always parallel to the past versus the present because we are a work in progress. So I will just say that. And we've all been experiencing this eclipse energy for the past so many months. And what is this eclipse telling us? Well, for myself, it happened in Taurus and Scorpio, exactly where it was supposed to happen, where I have all kinds of fixed energy, where in a way, for me, what is happening, strangely, is that I'm becoming a lot more aware of what's beyond the veil. My energy, shockingly, is bringing forward a lot of information from deceased people, which I had an experience recently where I was asked to look at a person who passed rather quickly, very recently. And although I don't read deceased people until they've been deceased for a few months, because I personally like to see them emotionally settle before we as psychics start bugging them. And that's kind of what it is. It's bugging them. So you have to be mindful of this skill. And at any rate, I was listening to her concerns and her needs. And as I was listening to her, my camera flash went off as she sent this picture. And I thought, oh, my camera must have taken a picture that I don't know about. So I went in and I looked, and there was no picture there. My flash went off. And this is a brand new iPhone. So no reason that the flash would be going off on, somebody didn't touch something. So there are two types of eclipses. Okay. So we have them in the summer and again in the winter when our solstices change over. This has to do with the angle that the moon and the sun were in when the eclipses happen. Okay. And so we've been having an energy going back between north and south node, Scorpio, Taurus. Okay. Having a conversation about what? Well, eclipses are conversations that, especially an eclipse in Scorpio. And first we'll start out looking at the solar eclipse, okay? They're potent, they're emotional, and they have enduring effects. They last. These are among the most powerful of all eclipses. And I know myself, I have been really feeling it. And I want to even kind of get fussy and say, this is stupid, knock it off, but you don't have that choice, right? You're just a member of the collective stars, and your gear turning, and your gear turning turns other gears. So you think of yourself as maybe something that's not important, but if you're a gear that needs to turn, no matter how small you are, you're an important gear. Okay. And this sets up boundaries between the living and the dying. We need these gears to turn to open ourselves up to the veil. I have a puppy wanting to say hi to me. And it takes mass emotional energy. Human misuse of energy has been one of our biggest issues. Okay. And we are awakening at this time from the emotional baggage that we currently have. No, puppy, stop it. No, I'm training a puppy here. No, stop. That's enough. And I am going to pause this recording because he actually is saying that he Okay, so sorry about that. I had to give baby some water and I'll give him some stuff for his teeth. And so he gets his teeth brushed in the morning via his water through enzymes. So anyway, the boundaries of the living and dead are being relaxed. So we're all starting to experience kind of an opening volley, if you will, for those of us who are aware of this, a communication with the other side. Now, I've always been somewhat able to do this. So I'm not going to claim that this is brand new to me. It is not. But in saying that, that I have this gift and I've always resented, I'm going to say, like different readers that were televised and they go into an audience and they ask you questions that are rather obvious, you know, a name that starts with an R, and anybody have a name that begins with an R? We all have somebody in our lives that has a name begins with an R, you know, Rebecca is somebody I know, for instance. You know, come on, it's ridiculous. You can't say to me as a psychic that that's okay and that that's really true and authentic work. It is not. And so I have a lot of issues with it. So, and then we have lunar eclipses. And again, I'm going to talk about Scorpio. It's very resultant in a powerful surge, okay, like water coming up out of the ocean and creating a tidal wave. It's very ground moving, right? Deep earth digging, volcanic producing. And essentially, it's saying, as above, so below. And we hear that and we think that doesn't apply to us. I've got Puppy doing cute little puppy things, and he has paper tore up. And I'm going to grab this piece of paper because I don't want him chewing on paper, because I'm pretty sure it's made with toxic garbage, like all things are in our unfortunately sick environment we live in. My husband yesterday had to leave on no notice for a fire, which is highly unusual. So I'm going to say that, which is really scary. He's on the McKinley fire in California, Northern California, which, you know, blessings and love to all of you who are in that path. I hope that you are paying attention and stay clear of it if you can. Okay, so right now we're having a surge or an outage that'll be strongly felt in the opposite sign. So in other words, if it's in Scorpio, where you're going to feel it is in Taurus, okay, in that fixed, so it's going to go from watery to fixed energy. Okay, so that, hang on to that piece of information. And what happens in those moments? Well, we get volcanism, volcanoes go up. And right now, as of the 30th, the volcano here on the Big Island is now back on watch for eruption. And I believe we're going to see some fireworks. We're going to have seismic events, landslides and floods. Kentucky, okay. This is not random. This is the earth communicating with us and saying, hey, I've had enough. I've had enough. Keep messing with me and see where I go, okay? It's going to affect us financially and economically. A large proportion and enduring effect also may follow these events. So it's bringing things to a head. Now, are we going to completely come to a head this cycle? I don't think so. It's going to go on for till 2023, at the summertime of 2023. So that is going to, again, change how this unfolds for us. Now, I'm going to go to something a bit more basic, and that is the 4 elements in an eclipse. What are the elements that we are going to experience as a result of this eclipse? Well, let me explain. We are going to experience water for the Scorpio aspect, because Scorpio is water. It is the depths. It influences the seas and rivers, and also relates to women, children, emotions, psychological and spiritual matters, fluids, sex and disease contagions. It relates to oil, water, chemistry, sewage, recycling, hospitals, loans. So don't be looking for a loan. You're not going to get one. And sea life. Okay. Floods are associated with this eclipse season that we're in, thus Kentucky. It doesn't make any sense at all. And I do believe Australia also had something happen. I was listening to a tarot reader and she was saying that something about it. And I didn't really know much about it because, well, one, I've been down with COVID. I've been sick for 4 weeks, going to be 5 before I know it. Pisces is specifically associated with displaced people, large scale. And Cancer eclipses are specifically associated with real estate and domestic influences. So we have all of this, and I realize I'm not really explaining how those things connect back up, but objects, Venus, okay, that's where this kind of goes back to. And so where we have water signs are Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, okay? So any of you who have anything in Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces, guess what? You're affected by this opening and closing quincunx in Scorpio and these eclipses, okay? And each eclipse is like a 6-month season that unfolds. And right now we're getting halfway through the first 6-month part of it. And we're quickly heading into what's going to be real here very soon. And then we have Earth. Now, Earth eclipses influence land, livestock, food production, grains, and other crops, industry, mining, earth products, timber, employment, finance. Earth eclipses have some affinity to droughts, especially in Virgo and Capricorn. Now we're having ours in Scorpio. So, and Taurus particular influences the economy, and that's what we're going to see. Capricorn are specific for their impacts on large corporations and monopolies. Guess what? We have an aspect here that I get to tell you about that I see coming. It's beautiful. Monopolies, authorities, governments, and CEOs. Virgo eclipses impact public health institutions, unions, the army, and the I don't know what that word is, forget it. The earth signs are Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. This is going to involve all 3 of those. So again, how? Well, Capricorn, we're going to see an aspect of Saturn in this reading in Aquarius, which is also going to bring in the Virgo energy, the health and the health of the masses, because we, at the end of the day, are living in homes looking to provide Taurus. Okay. All of this right now is impacted. So where is all of this going? Well, again, keep in mind that we're going to also have an air element. The Saturnian part in the 11th house or in Aquarius is going to be squaring the conjunction North Node, Uranus, and Mars all together in Taurus. So an explosive event, okay? And so in that, and the air part affects the trees, birds, bees, humans, communications, transit, transportation, electricity, hurricanes, tornadoes, wind, polluted air, airborne disease, radiation, wind energy, computers, technology, postal systems, communication networks, and space discovery, specifically noted during an Aquarius energy, large changes that benefit mankind as a whole, and new electronic and shifting energies. A good example, which I find fascinating, and I just realized this, I am a medical astrologer. I'm in the program now, but interestingly enough, and I've read several of the books, and my current book that I have right now is one of the medical astrology textbooks. Okay. It is Eclipses in You. Okay. Because I was bored out of my mind towards the end of my program. And I mean, I hate to say that because it is a hard program, and I don't want people to think, oh, well, that was stupid. It must be so easy. You could just close your eyes and go. No, that would be a total fabrication of truth. And in fact, I got through this program because I was able to really incorporate my ability to read throughout my lifetime. So many other things occurred during this that it was kind of crazy why I was able to do this work. But at any rate, where we're going to go next is I'm going to share my screen, and I am going to bring about the cards. And today I'm being a real naughty human and I'm using my Doreen Virtue deck. And you might be saying, well, Doreen Virtue says that she doesn't do tarot and angel cards anymore because, she's a Christian and she here from the Big Island. So, God bless her soul. And I'm happy for her that she's found a way that brings her soul comfort. Okay. And I'm not ever going to say anything otherwise because it's important that we have these abilities to be true ourselves, no matter what. That's our job. And so I'm not condemning her by using her cards, but I'm saying that these are my cards and I do with them as I choose. And so with that, I'm going to just go ahead and begin the reading. I have done a 4-card spread to emphasize the 4 in the Hawaiian lands for which I live and read from. So one of the things I really like about the foundation of this reading today is something I spend a lot of time, and if you've looked at any of my podcasts, you'll see that, on addiction, because really we all have some element or another of addiction in our lives. And I've been asking Spirit to help me heal away my addictions if I can. And I want this not only for myself, but I want it for the collective because it's a reflective process. And the angels at this time are bringing awareness to us of fentanyl, heroin, how the drugs are currently being poisoned with further poison, probably as a method of exposing addiction, 1, and 2, maybe bringing about society's need to actually change it because it's so disgusting what has happened. Okay. And so as a foundation, it says, it is time to let go of behaviors that are blocking you from your heart's desires. Ask Archangel Raphael to help you with this healing. And so within this process that we are in, ask for healing. Don't forget. And we just had the new moon in Leo. So, reach out, ask for what you need. If you don't ask, you're not going to receive. Okay. So that's just part of it. You need to do what you need to do. Okay. And why? And in the past, what we have is God box, where this was the new moon. Write your worries, your concerns, your desires on a piece of paper, and you put it in a special container. And it's called your God box as a way of letting go and allowing the divine to help you. And you can do this metaphorically. You can do it by asking your guides for assistance. You have all kinds of options. It's really up to you how you go about manifesting self-love. And that's what it is. It's healing and self-love. And both are required in this time and place that we are in. And why is that? Well, we are looking for relief and release. Okay. We have been in a situation where our air is sick, our waters are sick, our awareness of gentle kindness has been skewed with us being overly sleepy and a little bit on the blue side, unaware of how we impact the environment. And the clouds of the past are changing. We're being brought to awareness of what's real, and we need to be brought to awareness because we live on a planet that is a living, breathing entity, and we treat it like it's a resource to be taken advantage of, and a resource that allows the billionaires to have more resources, more money, more filth within their souls, which isn't really helpful to them or us. So there are some things unfolding, and I'm going to tell you about something that happened to me yesterday that was just fascinating. Okay, and in the future, the person that you're inquiring about, okay, so is it a person? It is an indigo, where we've been kind of led to this place, which I love it that indigo comes into this Aquarian energy, where we are being brought into this place where highly sensitive, natural born leaders are being born before our very eyes. We're seeing them come out and kind of take over what's real versus what isn't. So you'll notice that this is a child riding a trike. pay attention to that. As a child, his ability to see the hidden is a beautiful thing. And what does he have here? He has an angel horse that's getting ready to fly into the masses with some kind of new technology that's going to quickly envelop the process of our growth. So this is something we have to look forward to. Now I'm going to clear these out, and I am going to, for the sake of time, I could spend a lot more time on these cards. And if you have any questions, please feel free to, send me a note, because I mean, I love the Doreen Virtue. I love the angel cards. And don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe, because I don't grow without it. But at any rate, I'm going to stop share, and then I'm going to go in and I'm going to share screen, and I am going to grab this chart. Now, what I have written down here is Eclipses 2023. And I just have it written that way because, and I have a 7, and I'm trying to keep this really super simple so that it makes better sense. If it's all real complicated, I believe it's harder to follow what's real. Eclipses happen in the spring, summer solstice, and again in the fall, winter solstice. And we have on average for a year. And one is a solar and one is a lunar. And they happen in order, and they happen in such a way that it's like a series of gears turning that turns, and by turning, what I mean is that it sets off other gears. So it's like a machine. And I might be a gear that's little teeny tiny, but when I turn, I might turn a great big gear. We don't know. None of us really know this about ourselves. But eclipses are energies that are really 6 months at a time. And it takes some time for things to turn enough to change yet again. So we have something like 6 different eclipses that are going to happen in this Taurus Scorpio range. We've only seen 2 of them. So we have more to come. In the fall, we'll have another. Okay. And it'll just kind of go back and forth between the 2 energies, Taurus and Scorpio, Scorpio, Taurus, Taurus and Scorpio. It goes back and forth, right? It's just real simple what happens. And you'll notice that I have written down 2023, and I have a 7 pointing to that, because numerology, it's pointing right back at 7. Now, today's chart, I'm going to talk about the full moon that's coming up in Aquarius. And why am I bothering telling you about a full moon that is happening on the 11th in Aquarius? Well, because quite frankly, it is going to be powerful. It's going to be one of the most powerful and moving moons we will ever, as a human race, know and understand. I'm getting downloads all over the place, have been for a while. Yesterday, I'm driving home. My husband got called to a fire, the McKinley fire. Very serious, very out of control fire behavior, very consistent with this eclipse. We are going to see very serious fires. We're going to see very serious fire behavior. We're going to see wind. We're going to see volcanoes. We're going to see water in places that make no sense. We're going to see tidal waves. Now, I believe that the 11th is the beginning of this series of events. It's already started, but it's on a more of a basis of little things here and there. For instance, in Kona, we had that big wave come up over the racket club right there on Billionaire Row, taking out one of the complexes right there on Billionaire Row. So, you got to ask yourself, what's happening here? Why is this happening? Well, it's happening because we've all taken for granted the living on this planet and the billionaires. Okay, so I went to Kona. I had to get some medical testing done that couldn't happen because of this event. And so while I'm there, I decided I'm going to just go stand on the very ground and feel what it is I can feel about this event. And I'm standing there, and I note a couple of things that were incredibly important. It was all gated off. And it was like, okay, you're not allowed in here. You're not wealthy enough. Get the hell out of here. And yet they're cutting the local people off from their lands. Sickening, really sickening. But requires exposure. And what was even more difficult and sad and brought to my attention was that it's also a place where right there on the beach that the drug addicts hang out, because where do they go? Well, they're looking for ways to survive, and that's probably a good spot because probably people throwing away food. It's probably, you know, a lot of wealthy people right there. You know, there's probably a little more assistance, you know, and so they're all over down there, right? And the area wasn't closed down. It was all wide open. So this, I mean, nobody knew this wave. I'm going to say that we didn't know this wave was going to happen, but we should have known that it was potentially going to happen because there were some indications of that. But, you know, again, it's not like people did it on purpose. I don't believe that. But one of the things that was interesting about it was that nobody was hurt. And I think that was Mother Nature's way, Gaia's way of saying, you better get out of here and you better pay attention to what's true, because we're coming, she's coming for you. You sit there in your billionaire hotel and think you're going to get away with it. And I'm going to stop. I'm going to pause. Okay, yep, I'm back to recording. Okay, there we go. I just want to make sure I took the puppy out. Puppy had to go poop and pee and actually asked. So I'm really very proud of puppy. Okay, so what we're talking about now, I was talking about Kona and being on the property, and what was Spirit saying to me? Well, Spirit was pointing out to me that this was a warning. This is like the first volley. Okay, you want to be out there, you want to own Billionaire Row, but you want to cut us all off from our own locations when Gaia needs us, when Gaia needs the healing energy. Expect fireworks. Okay, just do expect trouble. So I mean, I don't know where this is going to go exactly. I do know that recently we had a few billionaires lose their properties, and I think this is going to become a very common experience here on the islands, because we have climate change, which is causing oceans to rise, which, guess what? All the billionaires have their properties right on the waterfront. They take up the waterfront for their own needs. Now, additionally, yesterday, after I drive my husband to the airport, I'm now heading home, and I decided I'm going to capture the sunset, which I will put on the end of this video because it was beautiful. But capturing the sunset, I wanted the last sunset of July 31st, as it was going away and now opening us up to August. For some reason, I felt a real need to do that. And so I pulled off again into one of these exclusive communities, and I get told, you can't be here. You can go in, but you have to have a pass. Okay. And I had less than 2 minutes to do this podcast to capture the sun going down. And I said to the guy, who was a local, which I felt really kind of bad about, because I felt like, hey, dude, you know, you're standing guard over your own property. You're keeping people out. I don't like it. I don't like the way this feels. Now I realize he has to do something for a living, and here on the island, having a job is what it takes. You can't live here without having 2 or 3 jobs and everybody in your family working, and perhaps living in a tent, because it's just that serious. Okay, not everybody has a place to live here, because the wealthy have come in here and created such a mess that we're all living beyond our means. The average rent for a 3-bedroom place here is $5,000 a month. There is no locals that can afford that. That is not possible, and it's disgusting. Okay, so but why am I saying that this energy is coming to a head? Well, we're talking the new moon, or full moon, excuse me, in Aquarius on the 11th of August. Let's just let that sink in. 8/11/2022. 8 for the power and structure, the infinite power and structure of change. Okay. 11 for the civic process, and 6 for the family. Okay, so then we're going to go back and we're going to go 8/11, so that's 19 plus 6 is 25. It's back to that 7, which means foundationally you can expect trouble. Now, I don't take 7s as lucky. I take them as not lucky at all. I take them as trouble, theft, being deceived. Okay, so, and here we are. We've been deceived. We've been led to believe Oh yeah, you know, billionaires, you must see that how successful they are and how we must support that and encourage that, because it, you know, that's how we have jobs and food. And where's your loyalty, damn you anyway? What's wrong with you? Okay. These eclipses are exposing us to our personal truths about how we see things. And we need to see this because, well, quite frankly, we've been taken to the cleaners back and then some. Our environment's sick, our bodies are sick, our everything about the way we're living at this point and eating is sick, and it has to either come to a stop or guess what, consequences. It's just the way it is. You don't have to like it. It's Aquarian, okay, Saturnian. It's saying, yeah, dad says, you know, slow down and smell the roses, and if you don't care to, I got some things I'm going to show you about that along the way. So this is this eclipse in some simpler kinds of terms. So we have Saturn at 22 degrees squaring North Node, Mars, and Uranus, all in the second house, where we're talking air energy versus fixed energy. So I expect hurricanes, earthquakes, fires, volcanoes, any and all things. And I think it's the 11th is going to be the opening volley. Do I think we're going to have some big catastrophe that happens everywhere on the 11th? No, I really don't. But what I do believe we're going to have is a catastrophe that reminds us of who we are and our vulnerabilities. Because what is this really saying? It's saying it's all about humanity. And if you add up the numbers that are involved here, you'll notice it's a 44. Now, you've also got the sun. This is a transit chart. So, you know, just to make that clear, this isn't a special kind of chart. This is just a transit. We're talking about eclipses. You'll notice that the sun is also 22 degrees. There are 3 different references here to 22 degrees, which suggests we are going to see some real trouble. And you'll note that I put down 44. Where did I come up with that? Well, 44 is what it all is going to add up to again. It comes back to an 8. The strength, okay, of our connection to each other and to Earth is very much in question. How we buy and sell, how other people take advantage of financial issues and use you to get ahead, where they're already getting ahead. The billionaires have got a system, right? They buy up all the property, they rent it back to us. They bogart the water, they sell it to us. There's actually something coming up now, which I was just like, that can't be, where they're going to try to monetize air. We pay for clean air. Now, I don't get it. How do the billionaires continue their steep advantage on us financially if they're leaving us all to possibly die in poor air quality, no water, no health care, in a diseased environment? Well, I think that there's something happening here that we as a human race need to see, that 11, that humanitarian reality, that we are living on a planet using the resources, and we're using them in such a way that we're exhausting them. And the billionaires want those resources for themselves. And I suspect whatever's coming is so serious, and they know it, that they're making sure that all the resources are really just set up just for themselves. Now, this morning, first thing, I got up and I saw 7:12 a.m. volcano watch. And you'll notice that that's 11:45. So that turns out to be a 9, and a 45 is a 9 again, and 2, a collective, and an 11 to the groups on the full moon in Aquarius coming up. So very powerful numerology here. It just repeats. And honestly, if I am looking for a pattern, I want it to repeat at least 3 times in order for me to feel like it's the right pattern, that I'm narrowing it in. So, you know, and I can be wrong. I don't want anybody to misunderstand me. I sort of do my own thing. I have my own ideas of astrology. I have my own ideas of numerology and tarot. And as a reader, I have my own ways of doing it. So, I mean, I don't want anybody to go, oh, you know, you technically, you know, I don't really care. You know, I'm sorry, I don't care. I'm Aquarian, I'm Uranian, and I don't care. If you don't understand what I'm doing, you don't have to watch. It's just the way it is. So what do we have in our chain of dispositors? We have Jupiter, that's the opening volley, expansion of something, expansion of Mars, something red hot, fire, the beginnings of what's coming. And it is leading to, it's going to affect you, me, mom, dad, kind of the energy of the family. And this is kind of energetically going to cost us a lot of money. Okay. It's going to affect our emotional health with each other. And it's affecting how we think. We're going to change our minds so we can change our lives. A lot of times in depressions, and I think we are financially in a depression and have not yet been told the truth, what happens is great shifts in wealth occur. Therefore, the billionaires are hanging on tightly for everything they have to keep as much for themselves as they possibly can. I think that is going to backfire on them. And I have several thoughts on why. Okay, so you're talking about Mercury, the way they think and the way they see themselves as being in charge and superior to us as humans, right? And they have that Aquarian thinking that they're providing the structure and discipline, Saturn, to the process and telling us how it's going to be, which is going to lead to a toxic infusion, which we're seeing. Our health, we can't control what's happening to us through the air. And billionaires, I'm sorry to tell you, you're just as vulnerable as we are. Maybe you get more medications, maybe you get better medical care, but I'm suspecting that this virus is changing so fast that Gaia even has a plan here. You can't outrun this virus. You can't outrun. You've created a problem. Yes, you have. You have set off the wheels, the gears, to get us all kind of crushed under the weight of it. But it's a system. It's a machine. You have no control over it. How silly. Okay. But then it all leads to, when you see the Plutonian, that their discipline leads them to a toxic mess, which leads to loss. Neptune. This is what they have to look forward to. This is what they have asked for and created. This is what we've all asked for and created. Now, we all know something's getting ready to unfold. We can feel it in our souls. Now, keep in mind that when you're looking at all this, that Venus also plays a huge part in this, because Venus is the ruler of this energy in the second house. So this 11th energy is really, I just fully expect it to be powerful. What am I expecting? To be very honest with you, I believe I see an earthquake, and I see a rather big earthquake, and I see a rather big tidal wave. Don't know where this is going to happen. It's not going to happen everywhere. Again, it's going to be like a warning, but this warning is going to have more consequences than the last warning. So it'll continue to escalate until in 2023, it just is abundantly clear to us in the very last eclipse where this is all going. And it'll take 6 months again until the winter of 2023 to completely unfold and show us its goods. So with that, that's a brief look at eclipses. I'm finding that there just wasn't a lot of good information out there. And so please do feel free to ask me questions. I'm really into the quincunx and eclipse energies. I spend a lot of time trying to understand and study these things and provide a lot of support to my fellow astrologers on this level. I don't know why I know what I know, but I know more than I probably should. And so with that, please do hit the like, share, and subscribe, leave comments. Help me get this channel moving. I'm very grateful to all of you for tuning in, for those of you who have stuck by me as I've been sick and all of my stuff has been unfolding. And so with that, thank you so much for joining me here today. And I'm going to stop share, and then I'm going to end this reading. Thank you so much.